The Race and Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They prize support UK and Irish racing the night before.
Podcast listeners, welcome once again for our Monday amble through what's gone and a look ahead to what is still to come. And today, joining me, Lee Mortishead, we have fellow Racing Post colleagues Tom Siegel, Nick Watts, and from our sponsoring organisation, Paddy Power. Hello, one and all.
Hi, Lee. Hello, Lee.
Good day.
So we'll start off with looking back at what we've just been witnessing, and another very good weekend for Paul Keating. Tom, your colleagues in blinding form. Home of the Brave and Journey, he tipped those on Friday's show. They won. Guys, what did we think of those two? Tom, Home of the Brave looks like he's destined for America. Journey destined towards Champions Day at Ascot.
Yeah, I thought... I wasn't that impressed with Home of the Brave, to be honest. I thought he had the run of things and was a little bit disappointed with the sort of way he went through the last couple of furlongs. Maybe he's a stronger stayer than he was last year. Last year I thought he was a quick horse and he was a sort of a 6 furlong horse. So I was a little bit disappointed with him, actually. I thought Convey ran a very interesting Royal Hunt Cup trial. I don't know what price he is now, but I think he would be favourite now on the back of that because he obviously won't get any.
Do you think they'll run him in that, Tom? He's about 7-1, I think, for the Hunt Cup.
Well, they might run him in the Queen Anne. It all depends what turns up. You see, they could easily run him in the Queen Anne. If he ran in the Hunt Cup, I think he'd have a massive chance. I mean, I don't think the draw and those sort of things are anywhere near as important as they used to be. So he can run the fastest and he'd probably win. I don't think he'd win the Queen Anne. So he was interesting. Journey, I thought was really good. I thought it was a bit of a nonsense of a race because they let the pacemaker get out front, but it's a very good front runner's track, Haydock, and Journey pulled too hard and still picked her up. So that was a good performance. I can see her winning. There's not that many staying older fillies around that will be better than her, and she must have a chance in Champions Day, yes.
Lads, if we're looking ahead from Haydock towards the future, though, in terms of immediate European big race targets, the race that's really interesting is the Sandy Lane Stakes. And Nick, Quiet Reflection was really impressive in that. Had Gifted Master, Buratino well beat, now goes to Commonwealth Cup. One bookmaker makes Quiet Reflection favourite. How impressed were you?
Yeah, I was very impressed with her. I think you had to be, really. I mean, you look at her career, she's only had one disappointing run in the Lowther, and she's just shown really good progression from then. I think she's gone listed Group 3, Group 2, won easily at the weekend. And as you mentioned, the right horses are in there fighting a furlong out, Buratino and Gifted Master and the like, and she's gone away from them, won by nearly 4 lengths, I think, wasn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's a performance you've got to take seriously. I think she's going to Ascot, and she's got every right to go there.
Tommy, is she a worthy favourite?
Yeah, she is. I'm one of these heathens, Lee, that's not so keen on this Commonwealth Cup. Everyone seems to love this Commonwealth Cup. I hate it. I think it's.
Why do you hate it? Hate's a strong word, Tom. Hate's a strong word.
I think the reason I don't like it, Lee, is because it's getting these. It sounds technical, but it's to do with the breeding industry, and we're getting a lot of these fast 3-year-olds becoming our superstar stallions, and it's not great because then we end up with a Derby with no horses that want to stay. You see what I mean? And so we're getting, so I'm not convinced by this 3-year-old career. I'd much rather see them try and win the St James's Palace and then come back rather than be trained as sprinters straight off. But there we go. That's my opinion. I think you're right. I think she should be favourite. I don't think it's a great race. Paddy and I were discussing before, where does Acapulco go? Paddy, what do you think? Where might she go?
Well, I think Acapulco might go. I'm hoping goes Commonwealth Cup route. I think that in a weird way, this sounds ridiculous, but the Commonwealth Cup is almost more tricky than the King's Stand this year because nothing has come through really in the sprinting division. I think over the last couple of years, like of the younger horse that's really kind of dominated or kind of stood out. So like they're kind of all taking their turns to win those big 5 furlong sprints. The Commonwealth Cup I think is going to be tricky to win. If Acapulco runs, in some ways it might suit Quiet Reflection because the Ascot track, like we know with the little stiff finish at the end, the ground's going to be fast. They'll go a million miles an hour, especially the younger horses, I'd say, will go even faster. And then just at the end, they do die a death. And that'll really suit Quiet Reflection coming through with the finishing kick. So Acapulco has loads and loads of speed, but might set it up for Quiet Reflection finishing. So, I mean, I think if the both of them turn up in the Commonwealth Cup, I'd say Acapulco will probably be sexy on the day because of the Wesley Ward factor and all that kind of stuff. But I think Quiet Reflection, is an obvious one.
Paddy, how do you price up the Commonwealth?
So we've Acapulco 3-1 at the moment. Quiet Reflections 4-1. Washington DC, he's in there still at 8-1. Gifted Master 10s and Log Eyed Island 10s, and then whatever any price you want. They're all 12s, 14s bar,
And just in terms of some of those who were beaten in that race at Haydock on Saturday, Tom, if you were Hugo Palmer with Gifted Master, would you be looking towards the Jersey maybe instead of the Commonwealth Cup?
I think he definitely needs a bit further. The only thing is, it's a Grade 1. It's a Group 1. Isn't it? He's a gelding. How many Group 1s can he run in? Not that. He'll have to. I don't know. I'd probably give him another shot at here. We've seen how good he is at Ascot. I'd give him one more shot. I think actually the Jersey might end up being a really hot race, hotter than this race. So I'd give him one more shot. I'd throw in Lumiere. I know she's been working a lot better than she was before the Guineas.
How do you know all these things, Tom?
I can't tell you that.
Can you drop us a hint?
No, it's just gossip from the people that sort of would know the sort of stuff. I think she's been working quite well.
But you remember before the Guineas, though, to be fair, they were saying like, look, defeat is not good enough. It's win or bust type of thing. There's no excuses. And then she runs so bad, and you're kind of going, well, maybe she thinks.
See, that's it.
Do you know what I mean? It's just, you don't know what to believe or listen
exactly.
to.
That's the problem with this sort of gossip and stuff. I say I know. I don't really know, but I'm not sitting there watching them. But before the Guineas, there was sort of mixed messages. I think now there's sort of, but you just don't know. You really don't know. But she is a good filly. She was a good filly last year. 6 furlongs, I think, is certainly her trip. I wouldn't rule her out bouncing back at Ascot. Not at all.
Nick, is Buratino, his best days all behind him now?
You'd say so, wouldn't you? I mean, it was slightly better at the weekend, but not a whole lot. And that would be my worry for Lumiere, that they both kind of came through together last season. Buratino hasn't proved up to the job, and in the Guineas, Lumiere didn't prove up to it either. So, both with plenty to prove. Buratino was very busy as a 2-year-old, wasn't he? He was campaigning in typical Johnston style. So maybe he did leave his best form behind him then, and a simple case of him not training on.
What about the one yesterday in Naas, Paddy? Were you there? Only Mine. I thought she was really impressive yesterday. I know she was a 16-1 shot, but she absolutely thrashed Washington DC. I don't think she's got an entry yet, but I don't know. Is there supplement? Could she be supplemented in? She looked really good.
Yeah, I presume there is some sort of supplementary stage because they'd be stupid not to, wouldn't they? Because the amount of money they could generate from it. But yeah, look, why not? There's actually a couple from yesterday that were good, and that. What should we call Peace Envoy? That's probably a bit of a step up, I think, to be thinking Coventry and like that. But there's a couple of good ones. Yeah, I thought, they thought potential. I don't know what race they would go for if they were to supplement, but why not?
She looked good.
Actually, guys, what we'll do, we'll talk about those 2-year-old races at Naas now, and then we'll go for a break. Peace Envoy and Cuff both produced decent performances without maybe setting the world alight. Cuff was probably more impressive. Paddy, were you there yesterday?
No, I was watching a bit of it, in between, pretending to mind the kids. So it was, Cuff was impressive, I thought. I mean, because it looks to have come on a huge amount. If you look at the form of the previous run, because there was the same horse in the race, and a Wayside Flower, I think, was in the same race, and I think Cuff was there was only about a half length between the previous time, and then there was more than 3 lengths between this time, and the second in the race had won a maiden by 6 lengths. So I mean, it was probably a decent race, and absolutely hacked up Cuff, to be fair. So I think Cuff's interesting, yeah. He's favourite for the Albany now, so I'd be impressed.
And Tom, with all the other things on your plate, not merely big races, but also Reading FC, etc., etc., can you have a handle at this stage on the Royal Ascot 2-year-old races, or is it something you approach a bit later down the line?
Look, I love the 2-year-old. Those for me are the best races at the whole of Royal Ascot. I love seeing sort of new potential horses on the line. No, I'm very much on case with the 2-year-old form. I thought Cuff was really good. I really did. I think she's beautifully bred. She's a Galileo, had a invincible spirit in the pet family and all those sort of things. So she could be really, really good. The Albany at the moment, I don't know what the prices are there, but I think she's every right to be favourite on what we've seen so far. I mean, I thought everything she did everything right, and she showed progression from one run to the next, typical Aidan O'Brien style. At the moment, I think Wesley Ward's got one in there that's sort of about second favourite, the one that won at Ascot earlier in the season. Yeah, but I wasn't that impressed with her. I think Cuff had beat her hands down every time they ran. And, there's still a couple of weeks. We'll see some more maiden winners come out. But at the moment, I think Cuff has every right to be the head of the market.
And, Nick, would you be put off at this stage backing in the Ascot 2-year-old races just because Old Wes could bring any number of potential Acapulcos to the Royal Meeting.
Yeah, it's always difficult, until you know exactly what Wesley's bringing over. I remember this time last year, I really fancied Bashara for the fillies race, William Haggis, and she was looking a really good filly. And then as soon as I saw Acapulco stride into the parade ring, I thought little Bashara's got absolutely no chance at all. Acapulco taking one stride to her 3. And I thought the game's up even before they got down to the start.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's always something to take into consideration.
Nick, you'd be the same as me, though, wouldn't you? You'd be more worried about Wesley's at 5 furlongs than 6 furlongs. Races like the Albany and the Coventry and the Chesham and races like that, he tends to struggle in them. I don't know if he's won any of them.
Yeah, no, that would be right. If there's one 2-year-old I've seen so far that's really impressed me, it would be that Caravaggio, and I'm sure he must be a good deal better than Peace Envoy, I would think.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Grant, well, that is Nace and the 2-year-old started. We'll have a quick break, and then we are talking a Japanese superstar.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
There is a new best horse in the world. He is called Eishin Hikari, and a Racing Post rating, I think, of 131 it's been revised to for his win at Chantilly on Tuesday gone in the Prix d'Ispahan in front of a packed stand of about 20 people at the beautiful Chantilly racecourse. He deserved packed stands because Tom, it was
when you were Group 1 on a Tuesday. Was it a Tuesday or something? Just a random Tuesday.
Yeah,
lunchtime.
well, I don't know if it's partly because of
the you open the Racing Post. There's a Group 1 on today.
Yeah, but it was a nice lunchtime treat as well, wasn't it?
How did you make it? Did you leave?
Very welcome.
What's that? Sorry,
did you make it out for a nice little, on the Chantilly? Was it?
No, sadly I was at Walton-on-Thames working from home.
Oh,
but I popped downstairs and I did watch it, and I was blown away. And then I spent the next sort of 5 minutes looking on the price comparison websites, watching his price for the Prince of Wales steadily getting shorter and shorter
Watching
and shorter.
or backing his price go shorter?
Well, I
and
did
shorter?
have a little bit. I did have a
There
little
we
bit.
go.
The juicy price had gone, but I backed him at 3-1. I still can't see him starting at 3-1 for those. The one question, Nick, is he as good as he looked at Chantilly, or was that a bit of a Hawkwing Lockinge performance, and we'll look back and think, I'm not so sure.
Well, there's an old saying, isn't there? If something looks too good to be true, it very often is. But, I mean, God, on visual perspective and everything else, and the horses that are in behind, like New Bay, for example, just couldn't lay a glove on him.
Yeah.
And he'd won the race quite some way out. And, I don't know. No, I don't think there was any trace of fluke about it. But, I'll be interested to see him take on Time Test on quick ground at Ascot, because we'll get on to Time Test, I'm sure, in a minute.
Yeah,
but completely different method of victory at Sandown on Thursday. But in its own way, equally as impressive, I thought. So I think he'll be a real good challenger to Eishin Hikari.
And Tom, did you believe what you saw?
Yes. Yes and no. Yes, because you can't deny the form. They're all in there. Darayan had a run, or whatever it was called. It was second, had a run, and there's no reason to believe that he's straight off the ship. I presume they were trying to get him ready for Ascot, so he probably had a little bit to work on. But the time wasn't brilliant, and like you say, they tend to. It didn't all stack up right. I can't believe he's that much better than all the best of our mile and a quarter horses. He didn't look it in Japan beforehand. So look, he's 2-1. I would never be backing a horse like that at 2-1. I might have taken some 7-2 or 3-1 like you did, Lee, but 2-1's a bit short now. You might as well wait on the day and see who's running. You'll probably get 7-4 on the day. So, I'd look elsewhere. I like Nick. The Time Test's in there, and a horse I like's Cannock Chase. I think they're two good horses that, while they're not got anything like Eishin Hikari's form yet, I think they might get there around Ascot in a few weeks' time.
Paddy, how do we bet on the Prince of Wales?
Yeah, so he's 9-4, Hikari or whatever he's called. Time Test is 4-1. Found is 9-2. New Bay is 6-1. Grey Gatsby 8s. Cannock Chase is 10s, and it's 12s bar them. So I wonder, but I'm just thinking about that, because obviously very impressive, whatever. We've said it before, but New Bay is only less than 3 times the price. I mean, it's very hard to see New Bay turn that around.
That's right. Yeah.
And so there's one part of me thinks it's the greatest price ever, he's going to lap these now. But then the other part of me is thinking like Nick said, it's a bit too good for it. I remember being real smart arse in the office, pretending I knew my French and Japanese form, and I just had a quick look up before and said, he's done all his winning on good and firm ground, so it's heavy today. So you couldn't be backing him. And of course he absolutely hacks up. So so look, whatever, he's going to improve. Well, may improve, or maybe just they'd never run on heavy before, and suddenly they've discovered he's a mudlark. They might send him over hurdles, but I think I thought he was very impressive. So I think it's too good to be true, but I don't know why I think that. I've no logical reason to say it is, but like,
but that adds up, but you just can't believe it, can you?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That race, though, it hugely benefits from his presence, because as good as the time tests, the Cannock Chases, the Grey Gatsby are, they're not contenders to be the best horse in the world at some point this year, probably, are they? In terms of time tests, then, Nick, you said you were impressed with what you saw on Thursday. Can you see him bridging the gap from Group 3 winner at Sandown to beating the best horse in the world at Ascot?
Yeah, I can. But I was, just going back a year to when he won at Ascot. I know it was only the Tercentenary, and I think that was a Group 3 as well. But the way he won it that day, he was just in a different class to his rivals. And then I thought that, this has got to be a Group 1 horse in the making. And I don't think the second half of the season quite went his way. He went to York, didn't he? And the ground was a bit funny. We got a funny result. He did win at Newmarket, but not very impressively. And then he went to the Breeders' Cup, stymied again by the ground. I think if you roll this horse out on a mile and 2 furlongs on fast ground, I think he's very, very good indeed. And yeah, like I said, he didn't win on Thursday like Aishin Hikari did, but equally is impressive for me because he had to give £5 to the field. Westonham had fitness on his side. He's a course specialist at Sandown. And I think he could have won by further if he'd wanted to. In the closing stages, I thought Ryan Moore did just enough to get ahead of Westonham without giving him too hard a race with Ascot coming up. So I was very, very impressed with him. Roger Charlton's a fantastic trainer of older horses, and he had a similar horse a few years ago with Al Kazim, who went and won the Prince of Wales. I think time test is quite a bit better than that.
Tom, on the basis that you probably won't be tipping up Aishin Hikari in the Prince of Wales at that sort of price, is time test one that you could see you encouraging readers to back?
Yeah, very much so. I couldn't agree more with Nick there. I thought he did really well to win. Sandown's a hard track when you get behind like that, but Ryan rode a fantastic race. He went very fast up front and he bided his time. And look, he's a good horse and he'll improve for that. As I say, Cannock Chase, you've got to throw him in there. He won the Tercentenary the year before. He had a down year last year, but I think he's good. And I think he gave £7 to Westonham at Chester and beat him easier than time tested the other day. Now, the time boys will tell you that it was a bit of a funny, muddling race, but I think he's getting better all the time too. I think he's a player at around 12-1. If I was having to do the price-wise now, there'd be no doubt about it. I'd be on Cannock Chase, but I have a feeling come the day we might see it sort of 4-1 time test, 6-1 Cannock Chase. So, it might be different on the day, and therefore I might be sort of in the time test camp. But at the moment, I'd say Cannock Chase at 12-1 is a pretty decent price.
Okay, and the rest of that really good Sandown evening card on Thursday, we had Palisator winning the Henry II Stakes, in which Max Dynamite disappointed. Global Applause became a big Norfolk contender in the National Stakes. Zonderland won the Heron. Nick, of those winners, or of the horses that ran at Sandown, did any strike you as likely Ascot winners, apart from time test?
I don't know. I thought Palisades was quite interesting because he just looks as though he maybe he's just calmed down a bit. The way that he was ridden was completely different to how we thought he was going to be ridden, but he seemed to take to it very well, and he came through and won nicely, and he's still double figure price for Ascot. We still haven't seen the favourite Order of St George, which is a slight concern. And yeah, he's just one of these horses, Palisade, who's kind of grown on me. Before I wondered if he'd be good enough for like Group 1 races and that kind of thing, and he might fall between the two stools, but maybe he's just matured and improved again this season. I was quite impressed with that, but I was also disappointed with Max Dynamite. He seemed to blow out very, very quickly from going well, and then he dropped to third or even fourth, I think, by the line. A bit disappointed with that run, I've got to say.
Paddy, were your odds compilers the only one watching the race? Because it seems to me you're the only one that's got Palisade as shorter price or the same price as Max Dynamite. It's amazing, isn't it? Palisade gave him weight and thrashed him, and yet most bookmakers still have Max Dynamite a shorter price to win the Ascot Gold Cup than Max Dynamite.
That's because that's what I'm just looking at the moment. Exactly that's so they're both the same price. I mean, if you got to pick them, you'd definitely be backing Palisader to confirm that form. I thought Palisader won really easy with loads in hand, and actually, the bigger field might actually help Palisader a bit, I think. But again, it's just the preliminaries at Ascot will probably be more demanding than the preliminaries at Sandown. So that's obviously a question mark. Order of St George seems to be the bee's knees, but at the same time, like you said, we haven't seen him, so he still has to appear, doesn't he? So at the moment, Palisader, as much as he's a bit of a rogue, still, I mean, Jesus, why not? I mean, I thought that was visually good.
I think the ground could be the key to the Gold Cup. I don't know what you boys think, Nick and Paddy. Alder of St George he was desperate to keep him away from fast ground last year. Max Dynamite has no form on fast ground. That's why I think he disappointed at Sandown. It wasn't even that quick the other day, but he seems to be better with some soft ground. There's not that many going in there. Palisades will like quick ground. Bondi Beach, I wasn't impressed with him the other day. I think Mizu sort of struggled home. That form at Ascot. He'll need a really strong gallop to win a Gold Cup. So I think it's a good race to have a look at if I was, having an anti-post bet at the moment, because as good as Order of St George looked in the Irish St Leger last year, we haven't seen him since, and there is a ground issue with him. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want it rattling fast, but it's a race they love to win, and so I've no doubt Aiden will be getting him spot on for the day.
And lads, before we move ahead to looking at Epsom, any of the horses that have run the last few days that you think worth putting in the RP horse tracker?
I thought Global Applause was very good as a potential Ascot winner. I thought Global Applause was really good. I know kind of with that, it's the sprint track could be funny there, but I thought Global Applause certainly entitled to be top of the market or thereabouts for the Norfolk, I would have thought.
And
there's a horse I liked, Simon Crisford's one at Haydock. It was called
the 2-year-old
Paris, I think it was called. I think that's pretty good, that is. I think he'll be, Simon was a very good trainer. He's made a great start to his training career, and he was pretty confident that he was up to Coventry standard. Whether he can win a Coventry, I don't know, but he looked good at Haydock. He'd be a horse I'd definitely keep on side. Macaris.
What's he?
He's 12-1 for the Coventry.
12-1. Thank you, Paddy.
Yeah, I quite like another one for the Coventry. If you can be impressed with the horse in defeat, I thought Maymas just wasn't suited to going back to 5 furlongs on Thursday and was finishing really strongly. Just couldn't quite get to Global Applause, and he needs that 6th furlong. And I know I mentioned Caravaggio earlier, but I think that could be a really good race between him and Maymas.
Do you think Caravaggio will run in the Coventry, or do you think he'll run in the Norfolk?
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, nothing's been decided with the horse yet. He does look very good, but for which race? I naturally assumed it'd be the Coventry, but yeah.
It's a scat, Daddy. It's very quick, isn't it? It's been running over 5 furlongs. I just wonder whether they might stick to the Norfolk. I don't know. They might not have anything else. There's a horse that was pulled out yesterday. Paddy might know more about it than I do. Psychedelic Funk.
It's a great name as well.
It's a great name, isn't it? I thought he looked really good on his second start. He beat one of Aiden's. I think Joseph might train it by 6 lengths. At Navan, I think it was, and they pulled him out yesterday. And the quotes afterwards from Jer Lyons were that, we didn't want to mess up Coventry. I've never had a horse this good at this stage. And we didn't want to mess up the Coventry by running him yesterday. Aiden keeps telling me what to do with him. Aiden loves the horse. All this sort of stuff. So, looks like he's pretty good too. So, this is I hope Caravaggio run. I hope Maymas run. Psychedelic Funk. I hope Macaris wins. You've got loads in there. It could be I love the Coventry. It's my favourite race. It's my favourite race of the Ascot meeting. I can't, it could be great if they all turn up.
To be fair, doesn't this just even chatting like this, doesn't it make you really look forward to it?
Yeah, I cannot wait. I love Royal Ascot.
Especially the Tuesday is going to be deadly.
Yeah.
Deadly Tuesday and a deadly day at Epsom on Friday and on Saturday. More about that after the break.
Here's Paddy Power's latest horse racing offer. It's money back as a free bet if your horse finishes second to the SP Fav at one meeting every day this month. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Max free bet £25, 18 plus. Please gamble responsibly.
Okay, troops, we've got preview programmes on Thursday and Friday, so we won't go into this in too much depth at all, but just read the Oaks at this stage. We're very close to it now. We know what's in the race. Minding heads the market. Stamina Doubts potentially. She had that hard race in the Irish 1,000 guineas. Nick, just quickly, are you with or against Minding?
I've been with Evensong for a little while now. Form-wise, you just can't compare the two. Minding's won 1,000 guineas, and Evensong was an unlucky in running third in the Pretty Polly. It hardly compares. But Mile and 4, I think, she's a half-sister to Simple Verse. Evensong, think she'll love the trip. Not sure whether Minding will, and that must have taken something out of her. You would think that race in Ireland the other day, that was a hard race, and she had a bad knock to the head too.
Paddy, are your boys looking to lay Minding?
I think that with Minding, it's 10 to 11. It's not exactly. You're not going to be knocking off them.
But on the day, though, on Friday,
on the day, we'll have no choice. But we'll be out together anyway. But you're just going to fill the bag with the favourite for the Oaks, the Derby anyway. Yeah. But I think that the instinct is to go against her. But then you kind of go, it's a big question mark with why and with what or whatever, because obviously her form is just better than every other form. Now the real doubt is like whether she had a hard race in the 1,000 guineas. But to be fair, like Aidan O'Brien probably knows a little bit more about training horses than I do. Well, possibly.
No. Don't do yourself down, Paddy. What else are you quoting in that race?
So Turret Rocks is joint second favourite with Skiffle and Even Song. They're all 7-1. Somehow it's 10-1. Arkshire's 12-1. For me, Turret Rocks looks a rock solid place proposition. Like, to me, I think I just thought even in the Guineas was possibly the only horse that actually tried to win the race, but the rest might have been running for second or third behind Minding. So,
and Tom, given that Aidan's representative Kevin Buckett, Breakfast of the Stars, was saying that in all probability somehow in Seventh Heaven wouldn't run because Aidan doesn't think they'll like the track, is there sense in if you want to have a bet backing your horse now in the expectation that 2 will come out on Thursday morning or Wednesday morning?
Look, I wouldn't. I don't see the point in backing an Even Song or a Turret Rocks at 6-1 now when you get, you might as well wait till the day and see where you're drawn and what's happening. Half a point here, there or there is not going to make much difference. To me, I'm in Nick's camp. I mean, I love Minding. I think she's brilliant. But, we've got to remember that the Oaks is always a bigger stamina test than Derby. It sounds stupid, but it's it's watered for the Derby on the following day. The track's out. The track's out about 50 yards around Tattenham Corner for the Oaks. So it's a very big stamina test. I have seen so many Guineas winners not get. Last year, Legatissimo was by far the best horse. She got beaten by a horse she'd beaten about 30 lengths in the 1,000 Guineas at Newmarket. It's a big stamina test. It's a big test for her. She's been trained as a miler. She had a hard race last time when they wanted an easy race. She had a bang on the head. Would I back her at 10-11? No, of course I wouldn't. But obviously she's got the form. I would agree with the boys. I think Even Song and Turret Rocks are the two each way against her. I think at 6 or 7-1 or whatever they now. I can't see, I see them running well. Obviously Skiffle's in there. I think she just might struggle with the track a bit, but she's clearly a good horse too. And if the two Aidens the other two Aidens don't pull out, there's not much else in there.
Okay, Aidan then will be very heavily represented, of course, in the Investec Derby. I was late into this podcast room because I was waiting for the Derby forfeits to come through. 18 in the race. All the big boys are in there. Ortad's not, but we knew he wouldn't be. Aidan's left in the 7th that we expected. Just in terms of questions to be asking now, guys. US Army Ranger, vying for favouritism with Wings of Desire. A, will he start favourite? And B, are we pretty much certain that Ryan Moore will ride him, Nick?
Yeah, I think Ryan Moore will ride him, but there's a massive discrepancy. You talk about Aidan O'Brien and Coolmore in the Derby. When they've got one they really like, they don't tend to run anything else. And when they have this scattergun approach, it's just throw them all in and hope for their best. So that's got to be a negative for me for a US Army Ranger. If they liked him as much as they talked about him, surely they wouldn't be running 6 or 7 others. So, maybe they haven't got one.
Tom, what's your feeling about the Ballydor situation for this Derby?
I agree entirely with Nick. I mean, I can't see how US Army Rangers can't beat Port Douglas, can it? It's as simple as that. But, it's a 4-1 shot for the Derby. I mean, it's just basically on Aidan's record. I mean, he's had running exactly the same races as Ruler of the World. But the difference is Ruler of the World won the Chestervars by 6 lengths. He should have lost it. And he was getting weight from the horse that he should have beaten, that was second in the race. So, and Ruler of the World, I think, was 12-1 or 8-1, something. It was a massive price on the day or a big price on the day. You're asking to take 4-1 about a horse that should have lost its trial. For me, that's just a no-go. I'm quite happy to see him turn into a superstar. But as for Aidan's horses, I prefer Deauville of the ones he runs. I thought he ran a great race on his comeback in the Dante. And that was his first run of the season. He should improve for it.
Paddy, who would you expect to go off favourite on Saturday?
I totally agree with the lads. I think Wings of Desire might go off favourite. At the moment, Wings of Desire, we have them just 7-2 and US Army Ranger 4-1. And I think that, I think like the Dante just looks like he looks like a horse that went in there relatively unfancied. I think he'd been third in a maiden at 14-1 his first run. Maybe he's never thought of as a superstar, but just has improved an awful lot. And obviously there's plenty of room for more improvement. You say the same about US Army Ranger, obviously, but I just like the look at the way Wings of Desire picked up and got up on the Dante and probably won with loads in hand.
Paddy, this amazing price horse here, Nick, Ulysses.
The winner.
Flipping heck.
The
How
winner.
the hell is that 6-1 to win the Derby, 7-1 to win the Derby?
Because it wins the Derby, Tom.
Well, it might win it, but you're only backing it on what they've said and on what it's bred like. Because
Well, I know, but
on form it's a 25 to 1 shot.
Well, yes, but you say on what they've said. One of the people saying it was Stoughton. I was at this Breakfast of the Stars do on last Tuesday. And he was interviewed on the radio. And you read people, don't you, from what they say. And the way he spoke about the horse, I'll tell you, a frisson went around a room smelling of sausages and bacon. We just sensed that he really fancied the horse. I backed in the week before, so I was on a bigger price, but the price just came down.
That's what you just wanted to hear what you wanted to hear.
Well,
like,
there is that,
Paddy.
Paddy. There is no doubt. I was comforted from what he said.
You're on Aishin Kurahari at 47 to 1. You're on our Ulysses at 560 to 1.
No, 14s, Tom, 14s.
They're in trouble with Leicester to win the Premier League.
And Leicester.
No, don't do that silly business. I just thought he was wildly impressive. He beat 3 newcomers in the maiden, but the manner in which he did it, and just the fact that Stout's running a horse in the Derby off the back of a maiden win, and he's talking about him as if he's in a different league to the horse that was what should have won the Lingfield Derby trial. I don't know. I'm excited.
Well, I think one of the things about this year's Derby is the fact that because the Cloth of Stars is the example of this, right? So because we're just crying out for something to cling onto. Like Andre Fabre won the Derby with Pourmois a few years ago, and because Cloth of Stars is trained by Andre Fabre, and we don't really know much about his form because he's from France. We suddenly think he's going to win the Derby, and his form's actually pretty rubbish when you look into it. But the same thing is, he's the one I've backed anti-post because I'm an idiot, because I'm just looking for something to back. Do you know what I mean? It's just
you've backed a horse that you think's got rubbish form.
Yeah, exactly, and that's
exactly what you've done, Lee.
Yeah,
no, I don't think he's got rubbish form. No, to be fair, his new reform probably is rubbish.
He's beaten 3 newcomers in a slow time, and the horse that was 5th was beaten further in a Salisbury maiden on its debut. Now, I'm not denying that it was impressive, but you can't tell me you didn't back it. You backed it on formally, because if you have, I don't know what form book you're reading.
No,
but it's not the same one as anyone else.
There's one thing you're not considering, Tom, and to be fair,
Michael Stout's hotline to Walton on Thames.
And you very rarely do it in your otherwise excellent columns. He's got a very good name, hasn't he? Ulysses.
Oh, right.
You could see a horse winning the Derby with a name like Ulysses.
Do you know
couldn't you?
there's never been a horse with the letter U, starting with the U, to win the Derby?
200 and whatever Derbies, yeah. But this year, US Army Ranger and Ulysses.
There we go. You see, you've done it.
Yeah. I should be backing them both, shouldn't I, really, on that basis? Yeah. Well, that's the Derby
sorted. You can back them with
listeners.
me, actually.
Really? What price would you give me Ulysses now, then?
Same price as everyone else.
Well, that's not very exciting, is it? Right. Okay. Well, that's pretty much it, then. Actually, no, Nick, are you back on Thursday or Friday?
No, I'm back on neither.
Okay. Well, what wins the Derby?
I haven't got a clue. Massart, we haven't mentioned him. Second in the Guineas. If he stays, he might have a big, chance at a big price. But I'm in everyone else's camp. I think I'm very much excited about this Derby, but haven't a clue who's going to win it.
Paddy, you like Cloth of Stars, and Tom.
Well, I don't really. I just backed it. I don't really like it at all.
Well, I think you should be taking more of Tom's venom than I've done on that basis. And Tom, you probably can't really say at this stage, can you? But you don't like Ulysses.
No, I don't dislike Ulysses. I don't like his price.
You weren't very nice
It's kind of
about
funny
it.
if Ulysses the price-wise tipped out.
I don't like his price. I don't like US Army. I can't tip US Army Ranger, Wings of Desire, Ulysses, Cloth of Stars. So it'll be not one of those, I don't think, at this day and age, at this state of play. I think Moonlight Magic is an interesting horse. He's a bit like the horse we took, Quiet Reflection. He's had one bad run. Apart from that, he's done well. Deauville, I think, is one. I see the argument with Massart. I don't really think Port Douglas will win. Harzan won't like the ground. I could go on. Well, so there we are. Giving you a clue. I think it would either be Moonlight Magic, Deauville, or Massart at this stage.
But probably not Ulysses.
Definitely not Ulysses.
Okay. Listeners, that was our review programme. We are back on Thursday when we're looking ahead to the Oaks, and on Friday when we preview the world's greatest flat race, the Investec Derby. Thanks then to Nick Watts, to Tom Siegel, and to Paddy Power, and see you all again soon.
The Racing Postcast in association with Paddy Power. They stream all UK and Irish racing live on your mobile, tablet or PC.